Welcome, welcome. It does this every time. I can't get it to. Y'all can always see me, but there is definitely a glitch with this app. As usual. As usual, there is a glitch. I also am probably like slightly shadow banned. Can you hear me, Teach?
Yes, I hear you.
Okay, perfect. I'm probably also slightly shadow banned for spitting constantly for probably the last 24 hours. They don't want to hear the real, so I get it. The guy who owns this app does not, isn't a fan of the things that I'm a fan of. But that's fine. We move. Again, that's why the What We Watch app is coming. How are you feeling today, Tej? Talk to me.
I'm feeling good. Another great week of the Penguin.
Another great weekend of Penguin. Or another great, well, it is a weekend, but because it comes out on Sundays, right? I don't think I've caught the Penguin on a Sunday yet. I think I caught the first like 2 or 3 episodes, maybe. And then I've watched it when I was more free every other day. So today I watched season 1, episode 7. So very fresh in my head. I'm very excited to talk to everyone. Welcome. Happy What We Watch Wednesday. We had a very, very intense last few 24 hours. I am here to provide community respite, and we're just going to get into, some good art, some good television, some good film, all our parallels, all the affirmations of our theories, because this episode gave us that. If you were wrong, you were wrong. Do me a favor again. I believe that I've been slightly shadow banned for spitting, and a couple of things went viral. So if you could tweet it out and let people join if they're watching the show, because I know everybody watching the show. Again, we will be on YouTube. Everything you say will be on YouTube. Miss Peacharina presents hashtag what we watch. Make sure you're tapped in. So, I'm going to start off by saying this. We be spitting in this room. We be spitting in this chat. Because we're like shooting at least 80% from the field right now. Because we are cooking. We are cooking. I asked you last time for your theories, and I asked you last time for your favorite episodes. But now I just need to I want to talk what did you predict that was accurate? Because I was very affirmed this episode. Number one, Sophia, I'm always affirmed in my girls that, do wrongs. I'm always affirmed there. So we can get into it, but Tej, how did this episode mostly affirm you? Or was there some moments where you were like, oh, I didn't think this would be that?
I guess mostly affirmed. I guess my big prediction is something that would have to be in the next episode, but I kind of changed my big prediction. I don't. I, I enjoyed the episode. I don't know if it made me feel like I was like correct. There's nothing that happened that I didn't know we were going to start with a flashback. Obviously didn't know that we were going to see that side of the Penguin. So I don't know if I approached the episode from like a, oh, did this affirm me in terms of what I think. I more of was like, I enjoyed the episode, and I was very shocked by how we started the episode for sure.
Do you remember your theories from the last chat?
Yes,
So you did not get those in this episode.
they didn't come up yet.
Okay. Okay. Because I remember yours. Um, Southern Coastal Elite, Deshaun, come on up and chat. I don't know if the app is working for you. I've invited you to speak. For me, I was very affirmed. And as a community, I think we are so intertwined and we kind of bounce ideas off of each other and we support each other's theories. And I just remember so much from the last chat being represented in this episode. But I want to go all the way back to when I said that we were going to get Gia. Now I was wrong because I thought it was going to be maybe not this soon. Maybe it was going to be like an aftermath and not just like a very specific scene that kind of drove Sofia to do more things. I thought maybe it'd be another episode or another show a few years down the line if they wanted to, or something that happened in the Batman. But we got it season 1, episode 7. Gia's back. And let me remind you who Gia is. Gia is the daughter that was saved from the gas incident caused by Sofia Gigante herself. And so that scene was really exciting and affirming to me because I think it's important that we show the cracks in Sofia Gigante. I think we get them in in her like moments of humanity. We get them when she doesn't win against the penguin. We get them in certain moments with the mother, or we got it in her flashback episode. But when we get like a real crack, a real like challenge to her wins through this small child. The way they did that was so cool because Sophia really saw herself in Gia and she was acting down, okay? But she saw herself in Gia because it's one of my favorite quotes. Sophia lived long enough to see herself become the very villain that she hated. She lived long enough to face herself in the mirror and say, I am exactly who put me in the asylum in the first place and changed me and made me the handyman. There is no difference. And, before she even had her little speech in front of Julian, weird relationship, I was watching the Gia thing. I was like, wow, she's acting down. And you have to act down here because she's having this internal battle that clearly showed itself as like a physical anxiety. And that was one of my favorite scenes of this episode because this is the Sofia Gigante show, as we've been saying this entire time. And it's important to see when she doesn't succeed and how she recovers. And so when she confidently tells Julian, like, I got this, don't even worry about it, we good. And then she tells Gia, I'm glad your parents are dead. Like, I'm going to have to stand. I'm going to have to stand. Southern Coastal Elite, how do you feel about that?
Well, she totally had a anxiety attack
Yeah.
after that conversation. Like, it's so wild that she thought that she could face down herself until herself. It's no big deal that I just killed your parents.
Yeah.
Like, even though it's her little cousin, like she's staring at a little gigante.
Yeah,
Like,
she is.
like those are the same words that her father regurgitated to her, that
Directly.
she's now regurgitating to Gia about, I was just doing this to protect you. These people are trash.
Yeah. Do you know how fucked up of a person you have to be to say, hey, don't worry about your friends die or your parents die. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Actually, you're better off. You're welcome. You're better off without your parents. Tej, what do you think?
I kind of was didn't. I kind of. I don't know. I
How'd
have
you
an
feel about it?
issue. I have an issue with the whole like Sophia like keeps going to the edge, and as soon as she's about to like lose her morals, she stops thing. That happened twice in this episode, and I just thought I just think it's a little. I don't know.
Is it
It's my
is it
one
giving you
complaint.
is it giving you half baked?
It's just such a cheap trick, and you can do it once or twice. But they did it twice in this episode, and she's having like panic attacks because the little girl is harming herself. And then I forgot the second variation. There was another point where things just start to get a little bit too villainous for her. And I don't know. I would rather just have her have it straight up. But I understand what they're trying to
So the
do. But I feel like I'm getting a little tired of it.
so the two moments were with Gia, and then the second one was with Julian with her realization after Gia and the mom.
Yes, there you go.
Nem, how did you feel about that scene with Gia and the aftermath of Sophia's kind of revelations and approaches with the penguin after?
Um, I think with Gia, I think she's like I said before, she's juggling with her humanity,
Hmm.
but now the supposed humanity that she's trying to save is like confronting her. Are you for real? Like, you did this, you know what I mean? And having to deal with that in the piece of humanity you were trying to that you deluded yourself into thinking you were protecting, um,
Yep.
kind of bringing it all at you at the same time is kind of bringing that flood of emotion and panic, um, to for her to kind of realize like, oh no, I'm as much a terror agent as my father was,
Hmm.
um, and having to contend with that. And so I think this episode she was having to take off the mask fully. I think the other panic moment I think that Tej was referencing was with Julian, um, and he asked her, somebody that is completely invested in her, um, into her mindset is asking her, well, what do you want? And she's like, yeah, let me lean into this and just be very specific about what I want out of this situation. And she, and it kind of turns her into a supervillain. She actually ends up, you know, adding to the saying that
Hmm.
the city takes everything from you, um, and terror attacks, taking out a whole city block, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
She's right there feeding the monster.
Uh, I think I appreciated this scene and this aspect of this episode so much because obviously we should talk about Oz, right? But I wanted to talk about women first. I wanted to talk about the girlies in the show since the girlies have taken some L's recently. I appreciate the Sofia Gigante scenes in this episode, regardless of how kind of, I guess Tej uses the word cheap, regardless, because I think it is so relatable to the audience members, I'm sure, and the people that watch this show. You can probably relate to having moments in your life where you are the villain, but very rarely do you ever really look in the mirror at yourself and think about you becoming your parents or becoming a thing. Like in the moment, do you realize when you are treating someone else a certain way that you were a victim in their place at one time. And so I really appreciated that because it's that kind of introspection that they give protagonists, which is very hard to do, especially in a TV show. Most of the times, characters are just going to do a thing and then we see the aftermath of it. But we get to sit with Sophia a little bit, in what's mostly an Oz episode. And with that comment, let's talk about Oz as a child. Why is he such a terrible person? I, I feel like we didn't get. Here's the thing. I get that he's terrible. I knew that before season 1, episode 7. Like I knew that. I feel like I was still a little shocked because why? How did he get like that? And they tried to use Sophia as a vehicle for that to kind of find out why he was such an awful child. But I wasn't. Huh? Baby, why did you kill your brothers like that? Are you okay? What? There's no. Tej, you have to have the answer for me. Robert, someone has to have the answer for me because did y'all not want more? I mean, I don't know. I love to understand why you became a fucked up person. And I thought that was what the scene was going to be. And it was really no, just no. I'm not going to tell you why. I'm just going to tell you that I've been a terrible human being since adolescence. And I don't want to throw out the term. I won't even throw out the term yet. Tej, what's going on with Oz? What are we doing here?
Uh, I think that there's at least a way that you can look at it that he didn't kill his brothers. I wouldn't agree with that take, but I've seen some people get that take off.
What
Um,
what are they
I,
saying? What do you mean?
because they're like all he did was play a prank on them, and he didn't know that he knew they were underground, but the thing was sealed, so it's like sealed like a vault. Like that's where they play at. So he doesn't know that water's going to get in there, even if they have to sleep in the sewer, which is a very cruel prank. I'm not saying it's not. Even if they have to sleep in the sewer, it doesn't mean that they're going to die. That's the other way to that people have looked at that. I think that he killed
I
them,
fully
but
disagree. I fully disagree with that entire take. Yeah.
I agree with you that he killed them. I agree with you that he's a piece of shit for that, and all for his mom's attention, which is particularly nasty and sick. I like the way they revealed it, but there are people who are saying he didn't necessarily kill them.
Okay, well, I'm concerned. Are the people in the room with us now? Are the people in the room with us now? Robert, talk to us. What's happening here? What are we doing with this character?
I think they're just trying to push us to the limit to see how far they can take him as a character before we officially stop rooting for him. Because each time he does something horrible, he does something that almost like redeems him to the point that we want to root for Oz to win. And they just,
Who's rooting for us?
I mean, after that speech he did with the gangs, like I said, I
Oh,
was ready last week to,
okay,
start selling bliss
okay. You
too.
got my
So.
ass there. You got my ass there. Okay, because I was about to say, who is we? Go ahead.
So
Go ahead.
like after that scene, I was kind of like, yeah, I'm ready to sell some bliss too. But it's one of those things like they're
Okay,
pushing how
fair.
much,
You got
yeah.
me for a second. You had me in the first half or the last.
But yeah, no, it's just it. I fully agree. He killed his brothers. I always assumed that he did, just based off of how he was always responding to when his mom was talking about them, and then when Victor got on him about it. I could kind of see there was some guilt there, but not real guilt. It was more like I did what I had to do type energy, and it was like, oh, okay, well, we'll figure out why he had to do that, but it's not. It was just for his mother's attention, which is like I think T said that's a particularly sick way to get your mother's attention. But it was one of those things where it's just like, okay, how much further are they gonna push him as a character before he is just, I mean, he's already all the way gone, I guess. So there's no real way to redeem him. But especially when it comes to like Sophia and his mother and things like that, and how they're positioning all the characters for the finale. I think this is one of those
Right.
things. It just cleared the board. Now there's no distractions. Now it's just Oz versus Sophia.
Yeah, I find it interesting. I mean, this is why I love film and TV. The crowd that's defending Oz is interesting. I invite you, if you agree, even for a fraction of a second, that he did not kill his brothers. Um, what would you say to your child if your child came out and told you the truth? Would you be like, "Oh no, baby, you didn't kill them. You were just playing around"? Like if the tape was ran back for you, the game film was ran back for you.
Well, I think that's a good point because we don't know what he told her yet. I'm sure we're going to get that in the finale. We don't know how he characterized what happened. Did he stick with the movie story or did he somehow come clean? I guarantee, I bet he probably didn't come
No,
clean,
he doesn't.
and she's going to find out before she does.
Yeah, and they use Sophia as a vehicle a lot for these like revelations of how terrible the penguin is. I don't know how people don't know how terrible he is already, but I kind of want to add a layer to him not knowing that he did it. I think that's to drown. It took a little bit, right? Like, don't make let me get into my physics, civil engineering bag. But when it's raining and a sewer floods, that takes a long time. So there were a lot of times to make a decision to not prank your brothers. Um, and to me, all of the shots back to Oz, he seemed smug, comfortable, and only slightly worried. But I didn't attribute that worry to, damn, my brother's dead. I attributed the worry to, damn, how's my mom gonna feel? I'm gonna have to deal with my mom. I didn't even think about that for real. Like that's all the shots back to his face really didn't do anything for me. I guess that's where me and the crowd are divided there. All the shots back to his smug little face while they were watching the movies, when he came back, all of the little baby, penguin shots were really him like, yeah, they out of here. Oh, dang. Well, she gonna be kind of sad. I didn't think that all the way through. So that was me. Bradford, what are you thinking? Because, yeah. Mm.
Okay, so I am. I'm not conflicted. I know the penguin's a horrible person. It looks like he's been horrible, like for a
Right.
second. But I think all this is sort of meant to be. It's supposed to be full circle. Like the problem with Penguin is he takes things personal. That's literally how he ended up in the spot to begin with, and it's
Okay,
funny to
mood.
see.
Mood. I take it personal too. Mood. Okay.
Even as it's funny that it started this way, and now even as a child, we see as a child he was taking it personal. I don't think he intended to kill his brothers, but after I think it was just selfish. I think if he went down there, they tried to prank him. He was like, "Oh, you guys are trying to get me. I'm not having it. I'm not doing it today. I'm closing the door." And I'm sure there was a realization at one point where he was like, "Oh yeah, they're probably gonna die," but for Oz, I think for Oz, it's always like after the fact. Like he's very reactionary. He'll do something, and like maybe a second or an hour or maybe a day later, he'll be like, "Oh damn, I fucked up." And I feel like that's what happened. But with his mom, he was so comfortable where he was. It was like, oh, I mean, they won't be alright, but I'll be alright. But maybe they'll be alright, but I'll be alright. So trying to reconcile that, I don't I don't know how I feel about Oz as a person anymore, but I've accepted the fact that he's always going to do things because he
What do
takes
you
them personally.
What do you mean you don't know how you feel? What you mean?
Like,
I feel like when 50 Cent was talking about power, not great to bring up 50 Cent. But just for talking about power, when he was like, "Why are y'all so confused about Ghost being a villain? Is it because he's attractive? Is it because you like what's so confusing? He's terrible. Why are you on the fence?" Bradford, what do you mean you don't know how you feel about Oz? You like Oz? No, you gotta find him endearing. He got a little walk to him. He's
That's
like
crazy. Rooting for Oz is crazy.
not knowing where you stand. Teach, I have a question for you. I have a question for you. Just to entertain this, and we've had this conversation before, Teach. I have a question for you. I knock somebody over the head, correct?
You saying have you in real life? What do you mean?
No, I'm saying this is a hypothetical.
Oh, okay.
I
Because you
knock
get
somebody.
violent sometimes.
Teach, how you gonna say that on my What We Watch? What We Watch, I'm not violent at all. Uh, sometimes I am. Try me. So I knock somebody over the head. They get knocked out, right? Then they survive. They live another couple of days, and then they die later from a certain blow that happened, you know, recently. That's what the forensics autopsy says. Did I kill the person, Teach?
If I'm the lawyer or the person who's dead, of course you did.
Okay. How are you defending me?
Well, there were things that happened. We don't know what happened in the intervening days that might have caused your death. So we got to dig into that and figure out exactly what the hell you were doing in your last couple of days. Because you could have been wilding, you could have been snorting coke, you could have been taking fent. We don't know what you were doing. So you can't just assume that because I hit you that and you died a couple of days later that I'm the reason you died. We got to figure that out.
Okay. So when Oz locked his brother's team, What We Watch, DLJ, I see you, you're up next. I'm kind of putting you on the spot here. So when he locked him up in that sewer, and it took some time. It took some time because they were not dead when he walked away. It took some time for that water to drown them. So they died by drowning. But how did they drown? And we just, I guess we just leave it at that. And how do you decide? DLJ, talk to us. Welcome to What We Watch. Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. Thank you, Mo. Hey, everybody. That's one thing about the episode I wish they would have gotten more into, uh,
I'm with you.
because I felt like Oz just, trapping them in the sewer vault just really didn't do it for me. I wish they
I don't disagree.
I just feel like they should have gotten more into it if they're gonna do like a flashback into his background and what led up to it. Because just by going by that and his interaction with his mom, it just made it seem like this was just Oedipus complex 101.
Except there's no father, and that's the term I was going to bring up. It's a shaky thing to bring up because there wasn't necessarily a father figure that was hated. The person that acted in that were the brothers, so there's still a male figure. I don't know how we're not going to get into like etymology and the study of Oedipus complex, but that was the term I was going to bring up earlier, DLJ. So yeah, talk to us a little bit about how. Talk to us more about that. Thank you for allowing me to engage with you. Hello.
Yeah,
Talk to us a little bit more about the like how you felt about the Oedipus complex and yeah, like I said, I'm with you.
sure. Just like I would say, just like before they were even playing in the sewer, just like the interactions with his mom throughout the flashback, and then after he came back to the home by himself, and he was saying, "Oh, my brothers were still out. They went to the movies," and he was just just the whole interaction, how he was like curled up to her, and then the scene later on where he goes to the club with her and see,
Yes.
and seeing her perform, and they're having a tender, mother son moment when they're dancing.
Yeah. So that's when I got committed. I wasn't committed in the cold open with the flashback, which I also feel like they just kind of threw us into it. But I was committed to that term when they had like the dance. She was like, "You're gonna take care of me, right? You understand, right? Like it's on me, da 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 da, right?" And I want to let distracted Diner speak, but Tej, I kind of want to ramp up the gripes that we had with this episode because I think I'm already going to be with you on a couple. But that's where we're going to go next. Just kind of some things that we didn't love about this episode. But Diner, go ahead.
I have gripes with the episode too,
Oh well,
but
feel free
uh,
to kick us off.
I think especially after the news of the last few days,
Mm,
we can be okay for rooting for bad people.
mm,
Like you're rooting for Penguin or you're rooting for Sophia.
mm.
Like it's nice. This is not like a show where you root for good people. This is like Game of Thrones. So
Cersei supremacy.
I'm not sure if we need to have this discussion of whether or not these people are good people or not.
I agree.
They're all bad people.
I don't think we're having the discussion of whether they're good people. What I think we're having the discussion on is what you are willing to forgive, which is a little bit of what we did last week. I think it's cool. These shows work only because, right, we are invested in how the character advances their motives, right? And it's not necessarily are you good or bad. It's not that binary. It's would I also do this if I wanted to sell bliss? Would I also do this if I wanted to get back at my father? Would I also kill my brothers or my sisters? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what we can't be invested in characters if we don't understand their motives, number one, and then number two, how they got there. And I think that is a perfect, kind of way to go into some of the gripes because someone theorized that. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just saying you're right.
Yeah, it's not such a binary conversation, right? But I appreciate you calling it out just in case anyone did think this was a binary conversation. I think someone theorized, and it might have been you. Actually, no, I'm saying it out loud. Someone theorized that Salvatore was out of here. Like last episode, they were like, that guy's out of here. Maybe it was you or Angela, I can't remember.
Yeah,
But
it was.
yeah, and we got that this episode, spoiler alert. We're always gonna spoil. Um, and I wasn't Teach, can you kick us off with some of the gripes for this episode? I
I didn't love the he died of a heart attack in the middle of the fight thing. I
didn't
didn't
love
love
that.
that. Did not love that. No, I didn't.
What else did you not so much love about this episode, or did I hit it spot on there?
You did, but I don't think this is a gripe. But I think that spotted a writer's trick that I didn't realize, or I wish I hadn't spotted.
Hmm.
I think that there's something more to the scene we open with when we jump back to the present, and he finds Vic passed out. I think there's something more to that, and I think where we're headed. Unfortunately, I'm spoiling this because I think I now know where we're headed. I think Vic is going to betray the Penguin, and I think Vic is a part of what's happening there. He understands that the mom was in danger. He made a deal to save his own life. And Sophia made a deal that she would not murder the mom. She's just going to use the mom to lure Penguin and kill him. And so it's going to end up that Penguin finds out that Vic is working with Sophia, and he wasn't knocked out. He was actually in on it because him just being randomly knocked out was just so that didn't make any sense to me, and they don't show it. And the fact that they didn't show it made me think something was up. So I think, as opposed to what I said last week, which is that the Penguin will turn his back on Vic. I think it's going to be the other way around, which is going to lead to Vic dying, and it's going to show why the Penguin is heartless and doesn't have anybody close to him. His mom will be gone.
If
Vic
it
will
isn't
have
already
betrayed him.
very evident.
Yeah, Vic will. Well, the mom is definitely dead. Everything in this episode made me know that she was dead, but I did enjoy the scene where she was going bar for bar with the hangman.
He ate
Uh,
that up.
Yeah, I thought that was a great scene, but the mom
Right.
is 100% dead. That's the kind of scene that you get in the penultimate episode before you are killed. The mom is definitely dead, and I think Vic is going to, the penguin's going to find out that Vic betrayed him.
Mm.
I'm 50-50 on whether that will lead to Vic's death. Maybe Vic will stay alive, but the penguin will have nobody. That's where we're leaving the penguin. His mom will be dead, and Vic will not be in his corner anymore.
Mm. So it's interesting. They got you flip flopping. Okay. Robert, I want to invite you to chat with us here. Okay, I see a couple of hands up. The reason why I want Robert to chat with us here is because Tej said the term writer's trick. And I want those of us that write to kind of talk about what it means to do a writer's trick and why and how you feel about that. But Bradford, go ahead.
I just wanted to say I 100% agree with Tiz with regards to Vic. I was extremely confused as to why that young man was only hit over the head when the episode opened. Like, if this is the guy, you're here, you have this menacing scene at the end of the last episode where Sophia is watching them, she's clearly like boiling. So to me, I don't understand why Vic is alive. So I'm very concerned because I was rooting for Vic. And now I'm like, oh, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But I just wanted to say I agree with Tease. I think Tease is on the right path.
I think it's funny that, we are all here, and this is why I love that our chats are available. Please go back and listen to our chats. Because we had this conversation at the end of the last What We Watch Wednesday last week. And I believe that we understood and accepted that someone was going to die, Vic and or mom. And I think we were not all 100% together on both of them dying, because then where do you go after that? Right? And it's not that you couldn't go anywhere, but if you open this with both of them dead, it makes sense. But sometimes it makes too much sense. Because, of course, Sophia would kill them. But we just saw Sophia spare the life of Eve, right, with a phenomenal scene. So we see her spare the life of both of these people, mom and Vic, barely, right? Vic was found bloody, so are we supposed to have like a bit of an anxiety attack there? But then we have her able to spar with the mom, and Sophia sparred with the mom when she got captured during her little bout of issues and things like that, and remembering how she lost her sons, which is why we probably got the cold open. So Robert, what is this writer's trick? I know what I need to say to that, but what do you feel about what Tej is theorizing?
That is a very valid point because especially there's certain writers tricks that you use. Like if you never see a character die on screen and they
Mhm.
just kind of mention them off screen that they die, there's always a chance to bring them back because you never actually saw their death on screen. So for the very fact that we pick up right afterwards with Vic on the floor with the bloody head and the mom is gone, kind of does throw into doubt that he kind of gave up the penguin to save his own life. So it definitely leads to that. Doesn't mean that it happened that way, but because of how writers do things like that, to throw doubt into your allegiance of characters you're rooting for, it
Right.
kind of leaves you up in the air of where Vic is and how you're rooting for him. So definitely because it picked up right in that moment, it can
Yeah.
definitely lean to the fact that he may have gave the penguin up to save his own life.
Yeah. And I think, you touched on a word that I think is profound. It's a doubt. Again, if we open this scene, right, alternatively, we open this scene, we open this episode, and they're both dead, I mean, we of course, right? We don't really think too much. We don't really kind of try to have. We don't have any doubt as to why it happened and when it kind of just happened. We don't want to open an episode like that when we ended the last one on the cliffhanger. Something has to be woven into this. To me, penultimate episodes, and for now, what we understand is this is a mini series. When I say that, I mean that it was probably created as a mini series, as most are. You don't never know if you're guaranteed and greenlit for season two. What's difficult about penultimate episodes and writing television specifically is that we need to wrap up a lot of timelines, and we need to wrap up what all of these characters were supposed to. So I don't even know that I would call it a writer's trick, but rather we are, a victim of trying to end a show that may or may not get a season 2. And we need things to make sense, but we need to keep you into the final episode. We need to keep you into the finale. We need to make sure that the person that we want to fail fails miserably, or the person that we want to triumph triumphs greatly. And we need to sow a little bit of doubt so that you don't know what's happening in the finale. And so that's what I think the trick is. It's really just a victim of writing television. It's really just a victim of being in this industry and writing a television show based on a film, or based in the universe of a film that came out a couple of years ago. And that's kind of what you got to do. I don't even think you had a choice. Unless you did write 3 seasons and you were greenlit for all 3 seasons, then you get, like DLJ mentioned, you get to flesh out more of Oz, right? We don't have to have Sophia do 2-time back-to-back little back and forth of triumph versus introspection. We don't do that so, close together in one penultimate episode. Similar to ending a show, it's very, very difficult to end a show. A lot of people don't love the endings of shows. They just don't love it because it's like, well, I had all of this. This journey was so great. And like, this is how this character ended. Oh, gosh. And you hear that. You hear that with Game of Thrones. Succession had a little bit, even though Succession did it best. I was talking about 24 and Newsroom recently on today. And it's just, these shows are difficult to wrap up. So you might see a few little gaps in the penultimate episode, but we rely on the finale to do that. Southern Coastal League, go ahead.
This whole episode has been mommy trauma. Mommy and daddy trauma.
Right.
Like, the penguin, we assumed that he had mommy trauma and that his brothers were assholes. We That's not what we got here.
Right.
We might need more, but that's not what we got here. We just got that he needed he needed everything. And that's also what I think Sophia wants. She wants everything.
Yeah.
And that's why they like mirror each other. It's not that they didn't get love. It's that they didn't get all the love.
Mm.
Like Sophia's is different because her father, obviously serial killer, but
Or maybe not. We don't know.
uh, like Oz had love,
Yeah.
but he was also jealous.
Yeah. I think it's like parent trauma, greed, and like jealousy, right? That's what this
Yeah,
episode was about. Yeah. Ugh.
like Sophia was the favorite. Like she was the favorite. Oz thought he was the favorite, wasn't the favorite, but wanted it, and he took it.
Yeah.
And I like that's what I think Sophia is realizing now. Even though you might be the favorite, you also need to go grab it.
Right. I think part of, and Tej, chime in on how you feel about this. The every episode before this has felt like a movie, like truly like a 45-minute film, right? I believe that this episode felt like a TV episode, which is not a bad thing. It is a TV episode. But I think we were operating at such a high level in the first few episodes. Even this, I mean, this episode is good. I think all the other ones were great, and this one was good. And so I think that's where the disconnect is for me. And I think the main thing that sticks out about this episode for me is the deaths or survivals or whatever. I think people are wiggling out and winning on some real easy plays. I mean, Penguin is wiggling out and we expect it, right? I've said this multiple times in the last 6 weeks. We know Penguin is going to wiggle himself out of it. We know he's going to waddle himself out of that. He's got, but I don't know if I love the way that, he got out of this one. I don't know if I love the Vic scene. I'm not into it. I'm not into it. It doesn't really make sense. I'm okay with Vic not being there at all. She'd have taken both of them. Now Penguin is like, dang, where is everybody? He see a trail of blood. Oh shit. I know for a fact it was Vic and Mom here last time. There's a trail of blood. Now we are sent into a panic. We don't know. And then we build from there. And that's why I think, Tej, what you're saying is so fair, because why is Vic there? Why? How did we could have gone a different route? And so I think this episode I struggled with just a little bit, because I know that we're trying to wrap this up and we're trying to answer a bunch of stuff and we're trying to get what we call our Super Bowl with Sofia Gigante and the Penguin. And I think they wrapped up this episode really well. I think we got like that moment with Sophia, but I wasn't like standing in front of the screen screaming and yelling a la Severance. I don't know if y'all watch Severance on Apple TV, but I didn't get that kind of payoff with Sophia's kind of triumph in those last moments. It looked good, it was filmed well, everything's acted beautifully. But I mean, I'm just like, eh. The last time we got Squid's death, we got a bunch of like really shocking, profound deaths. And this time it was just like, Salvatore like just has a heart attack. Vic is just kind of there with his like, a little head wound. I'm like, I mean, okay. Nem, talk to me.
Yeah, I think I don't know if they are like plot holes or like intentionally put there to, allow for some opportunities to go into this next episode, and because they have to summarize everything in this next episode, like of what happened to the point of Sophia coming, pulling up on Vic and the mom and what happened after that. So
Right.
we will find out, if if he negotiated for his life or if something else happened where, Sophia thought she could turn, Oz against him and make him do the dirty work because she was still fighting with her humanity at that point. Because, she didn't lean in into what she wanted until after she took the mom and had her in the house and all that stuff. So she could have still been indecisive based on the relationship that she walked in on with them, because she walked in on them dancing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like,
True.
I don't know. I don't know what to do with this person. If I kill him, will that make, you're making a calculation of how is Oz going to respond to this?
Right.
It's easier to leave him there, right? And
Negotiate.
it, yeah, and put that doubt in Oz's mind, like, yo, did Vic work a deal? Like, why is he alive? That kind of stuff.
Mm,
So I think at that point she was still playing her father's game and trying to sow seeds and stuff like that. I think that scene will get explained. I'm not convinced that Vic sold out Oz at this moment in the series. Um, I mean, Vic just caught a body himself, and he's kind of made his band of brothers with this, with this underground group.
I agree.
So, I'm not sure there that he's you know, betrayed anybody, but I think we'll get an explanation. Um, the other thing, just Oz's childhood, um,
I'm off.
and
I'm off Oz. I'm off of him. Ain't no way, bro.
I mean, Oz is a piece of shit. That's guaranteed.
Yeah,
But um, I think the way they went about explaining it with the mommy complex and everything else, I think that. Uh, I think they showed elements of that because, like, even when they went to the club, she's kind of dressed up, and he's like, he's half this is my mom, half this is my woman. Like
yeah,
he operates like that,
correct.
and I think, some of the pressures that got put on him, after the fact that were his own doing, but he brought on to himself, um, further advanced that complex. But he definitely killed his brothers because once he knew they didn't come home,
Thank you.
He knew what time it was.
Come on now. Thank you. Come on now.
So yeah,
I'm
especially
with
in the
you.
rain. Yeah.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. And I see your hand up, M series, and Teach, you chime in whenever you need. Here's the thing. I don't even need to see Penguin killing people. You know how I know I don't fuck with the Penguin? Let me tell you how I know that I do not like the Penguin. Let me tell you. Because the Penguin will swap sides and lie so quickly out the side of his neck. He will make a deal so quick, and it is actually kind of embarrassing because we know you're lying. He will be tied up. The Penguin is a man that you know is not going to have your back. There are some people that make you question if they're going to have your back if they jammed up. There are some people that you know for a fact will not have your back if they're jammed up. And Penguin is the latter. You know for a fact, if anybody try the Penguin with anything, you are done. Oh, well, let's let's think about Sofia. Like, do you really want to partner with her? I said, nah, this is crazy. It was 3 episodes ago you was her partner. Nah, nah. He does this all the time. Now you want to partner with Salvador and the wifey and leverage the son. You killed him anyways. This guy is so deeply and genuinely and consistently about himself, no matter what. He'll be a flip flopping ass B word, a flip flopping ass bitch. I don't know why I say fucking up bitch. A flip flopping ass bitch, no matter the case. And it was never him killing anybody for me. I know that's crazy. It was never him any killing. It's his every conversation that Penguin has when he's jammed up that has me thinking, my goodness, what an awful, completely unreliable character. I am rooting for his failure. How is it every time this happens? M series, go ahead. That there's no question. I don't want to hear any kind of middle ground. We're not on the fence about Penguin. That man, child.
Uh, I like this episode. It kind of showed something which I didn't really pay attention to, but now looking back at it, like a Oedipus complex with Oz,
Mhm.
kind of like a tiptoeing up that line with him, especially now as we know with how the brothers died. That's kind of really brings a different dichotomy to his character too. I think that kind of presents a whole another situation that I would like to see explored more. I know we're not going to see it by the time the next episode ends, since that's the finale, but something that could possibly be explored later on. And I guess my last point is, hey, it's kind of messed up that Mr. Krabs died like that and going against Oz died like a heart attack. I don't want to see that.
Yeah, that was. I'm not into it. I'm not sold on it.
Yeah, that was kind of messed up to see Mr. Krabs go
And I
like,
see, I see what the writers did to attempt to like affirm us in that moment.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
even Penguin was shocked. He was like, "Man, seriously, come
like
on, come
damn,
on." And I'm like,
yeah,
"Yeah, this is me also right now. Come on,
yeah,
come on."
for real. Yeah, they just kind of threw that one up there.
They said, "Ooh,
Like,
caught
ah,
it."
that's
All
cool.
right, cool.
Yeah,
Um,
that's it.
yeah, yeah. So, Tej, we talked enough about what we didn't love. Can you wrap us up with some things that you did appreciate? You've given us your theory already. So let's see if Tej is right next episode. Don't forget it. But what did you enjoy about this episode? Did are we feeling good about the penultimate episode? Are we feeling like a season 2 is coming? What aspects did you enjoy? Tej, what aspects did you
Oh,
enjoy?
that's to me.
Yeah, that's to you.
I enjoyed the flashback a lot. Um, I really enjoyed the scene with the mom and the hangman.
Mhm.
Those are the aspects I liked. Everything else felt kind of hit or miss for me. But I really appreciated the scene with the mom and the hangman, which was my favorite scene of the episode. And I thought it was just a great opportunity to see them kind of go back and forth and see those actresses do their work. So that was probably my favorite part. I'm also a little surprised that the squid thing hasn't had like any more. Like I'm surprised that didn't come up again.
Right.
I guess it's probably not going to come up again in the finale, which is just a little weird. But that's it. That's it.
Yeah, I think that I think that the mom thing, mirrors and parallels Sophia kind of throughout this entire episode since she's been on her rampage, just meeting face to face with women like she did with Eve Carlo. And a lot of those scenes are so great. But, the reason why I think the mom is dead, and I think I agree with you, Cheech, is that the bomb scene, shout out to her for that. That really definitely gave Dark Knight Batman. I don't know if you guys realize the immediate call out to that kind of underground dissolution of your empire or whatever. Just blow some shit up in the middle of Gotham. But I think when we go into the G wagon, all right, this is a Mercedes and a Maserati commercial. Okay, we get it. The product placement is crazy, but when she goes in the back, it looks like the mother is covered, her body is covered. And so we get those great moments with Colin Farrell making the really shook, like, oh my God, like apprehensive, like I'm about to like open this to my mother. No, it's actually worse. And so I think, yeah, we could scratch her off the list. Everybody just kind of going. But I agree with you. I think there was so much to do with Vic's character. I think Vic did become a fave of the audience here, especially at What We Watch. I think Angela was one of the first people to kind of say it out loud. But not my favorite episode, but not a bad episode. I think it was necessary. I think it worked. I think it allowed us to ask the right questions and theorize the way that we have. So, I think we're good. Any last words from anyone else in the squad before we close this out? Because I have a What We Watch recommendation, and I have a couple notes for us as we enter this new regime into 2025. Nem, go ahead.
Yeah, just I know we've been making some slight predictions about if the mom's going to die next episode and whatnot, and I do think she will, but I do think Penguin's going to kill her.
Really?
I think it's kind of like the last thing his mom asked him to do, and if
Oh,
she
shoot, I forgot about that scene. Yes.
yeah, and if she's in a situation where Sophia's making him make a hard choice of some kind of like, either this death or this worse death or, some kind of situation, I think Sophia's gonna be very surprised and caught off guard if he turns around and does that, to his mother that's smiling about it. You know what I mean? So I'm looking for something of that nature to come out of the next episode.
Mm. Any other predictions? Put your hands up. Go ahead, Southern Coastal League, before we close out.
I actually believe that Vic is gonna come in at the last second and do some heroic shit. Like, I think Vic is gonna die,
But he's still gonna go rogue before he
but
does.
I think he's gonna do some heroic shit because Vic is my guy as a Vicky.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, that was season 1, episode 7. I want to take just a couple of minutes. Thank you for staying here with me, for always being here in this community, always joining these spaces, always supporting me in what we watch and what we are building at WWW Film TV. For every hashtag, what we watch, every bit of support, text message, DMs. The word community comes up quite a bit lately here over the last few, days. And at my film festival, I talked a lot about community. And I think it's a word we just use, and I don't think we understand it. And I don't think I'm here to even provide the definition for you. I think you get to decide who and what your community is. And I believe that the community in what we watch, that's why it's we and not what I watch or what they watch. It's what we watch, because we are the community. We are celebrating the art and filmmaking and television together. We are highlighting artists. We are making sure that we amplify the voices of each other and the great art that people put a lot of work into. And so, what is community, right? It's who you feel like you're in community with. Is it us today with a shared goal or interest of celebrating art and film and talking about what we enjoy? Is it just people who look like you? I think the question is also to ask who is not in your community. I think a lot of times we ask who is in it and we don't know who is not. Maybe the answer for you is everyone is in my community, but do they agree with you? And so I just want to celebrate the social interest we have in film. These live events that I do are truly for the community. They are for the filmmaker, the showrunner, the writer, the director. They are for the audience to connect closer to the artist. And it's not just for people who look and think like me necessarily. It is for people who dedicate time in the shared goal and interest of film and TV and how art will survive us. So thank you so much for being a part of What We Watch. Please continue to ask yourself who your community is and how you will help support it. And with that, my What We Watch recommendation for next week, or for this upcoming week, is Shrinking. Shrinking season 2 is out currently, and you got Jessica Williams and you got what's my guy's name? I can't believe I'm Harrison Ford. Those are my two. That's who I'm going to highlight right now. What We Watch is going to highlight Shrinking season 2 for sure. Jessica Williams and Harrison Ford eating down. That show is about community. It is about how a group of therapists and everything that they are going through, right, helps them find their communities, and how their clients actually help them find their communities, and how they help their clients. Like, it's just a complete synergy in how the people around you really affect your environment and how you respond to your environment and how you succeed in this world. So that is Shrinking. We know Apple TV is not going to spend no money on marketing their shows. So you're welcome, Apple TV. Watch Shrinking, because the next episode, or the next show that you're going to watch on Apple TV Plus, is Severance. Shout out to you, Ben Stiller, for making that show specifically. But I want to just say, and I'll close out with this. This is What We Watch Wednesday. Happy What We Watch Wednesday. And this recommendation comes straight to you from a Ted Lasso, an anti-Ted Lasso person, okay? Shrinking is what Ted Lasso wishes it was. Okay? All right. Ciao.